Okay. So Niall, you have good structure, you have good understanding of the anatomy, but how are we seeing this body? This body is visible because of one very important element. Yeah, he's also mastered face, there's no question. But listen, pay attention. Um, there's a word that is really important um, to me, and it's the only reason why we can have anything. We can see anything because art is is the art of visuals, light, exactly. You understand that, Niall, and you answered it, and it shows that you're familiar with the power that comes with light. But I'm really worried that you don't understand that all of these elements are visible because of a light source. They're not visible on their own. They don't glow, or it doesn't come. Not everybody comes with a light source attached to it that gives it the best kind of you know, lighting situation. There's always a light coming from somewhere, and it's going to cast some shadows. The shadows prove the light is there. The shadows direct us to the source of light because they point to something. So if you have like a landscape and the sun is coming this way, but you didn't have the sun, you just had the trees and the shadows of the trees, you'd know that the sun is there. If all the shadows were pointing this way, you know the sun is there. So you guys have to think about it like that. Where is the shadow being cast? And it's easy to cast a shadow. You just have to think about the rise and the drop of muscle structures. So the hills and valleys. So let's say all of these trees and the sun is here, but there's another hill here and another hill here. What happens to the shadows is that they groove along the hill. Okay? It's exactly the same principle here. Let's say the shadow, the light is coming from here, like I always tell you guys. So what happens, just give me a second, my leg's falling asleep. Damn it. Damn it! Okay. So what happens is the light sources from above if the light source is from above the face, what we get are track shadows that show us where the light is coming from. And this lighting situation, I'm always talking about it, this specific one. And I'm trying to show that the light is coming from above him. Now the abs that you drew are a bit too symmetrical. Abs aren't perfectly symmetrical, if you guys have noticed. They don't come symmetrically. Some of them are very, very weird, like for very, very built people, maybe they'll be like almost perfectly symmetrical, but you can never really have perfect symmetry on a human body. So remember that you have to break some of that unless you're trying to paint a mannequin. And, some sort of artificial thing. By the way, some of the students suggested for us to watch a movie, and one of them suggested Casablanca, which is a very good choice, actually. Is anyone willing to watch that with us sometime soon? I wonder who that was. Okay, so underneath the pecs, the place you drew the nipples of the pecs were a bit too low. Maybe these are a bit too high, but somewhere in between the shadow, right here. Just somewhere here. And why do nipples stretch like that? It's because there's fat going like this. If you pulled this fat up, the nipple would become perfectly circular. Okay? But the reason you have to understand why certain things look the way they do. So when you do place in the light source, you're following it. And when you place in the details of the nipple, you don't just put a circle. You put the edge of the protrusion of the nipple right there. Okay? It's barely visible. But that's basically what I mean. Also with the arms, where are the hills and valleys on the arms? You have to find that. And then the light. The light seems to be avoiding the shoulder line. You had trouble with this shoulder line right over here. And what you need to do is remember where the light is falling and which areas are faded off into shadow. And get your main light source color. And just place it in the areas that the light is touching completely. Just to show that there's a light above here. It is a studio light. It's not that intense. He does have support light this way and this way. But the point is to show that there is an originating, a source of light where all these shadows are originating from. The direction. You need to place a space in between the pectorals here. What you do is that you connect the two pecs together, and I think that only happens if you really just are really, really big. Like if you get those really big guys, but skinny guys don't really have a developed pectoral to that level. And so what you get is that space that represents their weight just in between the two breasts. This is for women and men. Don't forget this next time, okay? Because it really does take away from the natural look. It'll just add to that artificial look. And you don't want your images to look artificial. You want them to look like natural, like an actual human's flesh. Because we're not a fine arts class. What we are is a bunch of art enthusiasts working together, trying to figure out the clues of how, to cut short the fine art process and go straight and start making money. It's not about money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we want to become professionals, make a living out of it, and enjoy our life. And so we don't have naked models to our disposal where we can learn all of these firsthand. Not all of us can afford going to those life drawing classes. So what you have to do is make do with what you have through the internet. Try to find sources that will help you develop that instinct for human proportions. You need a little bit of help with muscle structures. Since he's so developed in these areas here, we're going to have these different muscles working together on the arm. Okay, maybe not that way, but you need to show where the muscles are, where the individual muscles are. Okay? So you need to do some studies on the arms. You have this area checked out good. That's okay. But what we need is some more muscle structure on the arms. And I think you know what I mean, like biceps, triceps. I want to know that I can differentiate between them. Let me see if I can. What is it? Lean muscle. Okay. So see these separations? You see, you have this bicep or tricep or whatever. You have this bicep, and we can see the difference by the way they place the light. And you can tell by only a couple strokes of light and shadow, you already have some form. And you can literally take this and apply it here. And really that's all that it'll take. So let's see. Let's test my memory. Just keep trying to form those two masses on either side and try to show that they are actually there. Instead of just, just drawing a bunch of bumps. Because that's what people do when they don't have a good understanding of the muscles. They just draw bumps where they think they look good. And that's not a good idea. It'll make you look like an amateur. If you don't know how to draw something, I heard one artist say, I think it was, I don't know if it was Noah Bradley, I don't know. It's like, if you don't know how to draw something, don't try to draw it without help. Don't try to draw it without reference, because you can tell if they had trouble with it. and it sort of shows your amateur level very, very quickly. So the best thing to do is have a study. Why shouldn't you have a study nearby that helps you discover the specific muscle structure? And do you see how now he's starting to look more fleshy, more human, more asymmetrical? Do you see that? You're very, very neat and very organized. I bet Niall's room is very, very clean. You're like, I don't know if your binder at school, when you went to school, your binder was always really well organized. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but you tend to have a very organized look to your drawings. And I want to make sure that you realize the organic look, the natural look, the realistic look isn't organized. It is to a degree, but you have to understand you have to break some of that. And get some of the light in that area as well. This muscle stretches from here, not from there. So what this package that I'll be finishing up soon, it's going to be a PDF, and it'll be like the, I hate to use this term, but it'll be like the mecca of all that I know, all that I've discovered in art, all that I've understood, all that I've realized, my little tips and tricks. It'll be absolutely everything that I know in it, and I'll be providing you with videos on how to use the brushes that I've designed. I'll be editing some brushes I already had into different brushes to help with those settings. Make sure you guys avoid the annoying settings as much as possible. You don't have to depend on Photoshop settings. I'll also be including multiple contract styles. I'll be including a application layout, portfolio layout, a bunch of other stuff that I sort of don't want to spoil it, but we're going to be finishing that up soon. Organized mech. I'm not really interested in mechs right now. I don't know. I was in the past, but lately it's been more of a distant, yeah, like a phase. Will you cover figures in the package? I'll be covering almost everything I know about. You know, I'm not saying that I know everything, but I'll be covering a lot of stuff. And what I've done is that I've already taught you guys this stuff, but in the book it'll just be completely detailed. It'll be like a I don't know what that word is, but it'll be like completely detailed. That's all, the only word that comes to mind. Okay, you can keep rendering it. I could spend hours on this, but this is what I'm trying to show you. That you need that organized look that is unorganized, is what I'm trying to say. So before, you understand the formations, you understand the bumps that come with body structure, but after you add in those tiny little details, it tends to look a little bit more, less 3D model, more organic human look. So what I want you to do is use a bit more reference. I know you use this from memory, and it's really good to use that from memory. It's really good to play with memory, but I really want you to start playing with references. Try different references together, what they can do. Play around a little bit more with what rules you can break, and then you'll develop your own personal style that doesn't look fake, because it's very easy to get that fake look in your figures. Very, very easy. You can tell, oh, it's just a drawing. But when you have that very, very delicate degree of organic asymmetry, it's very beautiful. And I really want you guys to start entertaining that in your work. When you have time, would you be able to do a class on the lower half of the body? Okay, I already did a little bit before, as you guys might remember. But I'll try my best to do another one. X sent me this one. Okay, X. Right now you're working with this happens a lot, and I see it happen a lot with students. They try to work with the 3D world, or the world of realistic drawing, but they still anchor themselves towards lines. And that's a very, very bad thing to do when you mix the two worlds together. It tends to look very, very fake, very flat. So you have two directions, and I'm not sure if I can render the whole image for you. I mean, it's a choice you have to make, and then I will critique it for you. But you have to choose. Are you going to keep the lines and paint in a way where you're not forcing the face, forcing the 3D look, the way you place the shadows here? This is not how you paint underlines. The way you paint underlines is a very basic flat look. You don't paint with that 3D intention. If you want to remove the lines, you can continue with the way you've been painting the face now up to this level. Okay? I don't know if I find the lower half harder. I make really simple sketches like leg length, etc. Okay. So, do you understand what I'm saying? X? I really want you to make a choice. I would like to know the next step then to remove the lines. To remove the lines, if you have it on a separate layer, get rid of that layer, and or maybe smudge it. Not smudge it. Yikes. Decrease the opacity. What I'm going to do is just decrease the opacity by brushing over them. Next step is basically remove the lines. Get rid of those. You don't need them. In every man's life, or woman, a day comes when they have to let go of their lines. And it's a difficult day to deal with. But that day is a day you'll remember as a day you matured in art. Okay? It's going to feel scary. You're going to feel like you're on a roller coaster. You're going to feel like, devil may care kind of person. You're going to feel like you broke the law. But it's okay. It's just lines. And you're just getting rid of them so that your work can blossom. Okay? So after this, you have to go back to fundamentals X. So watch the videos if you want how to draw a face. What I do is I always just get the base color and then just get the shadows started and then render out the shadows into faces. What I recommend you do at this stage is not detail the eyes this much. Paint a purple over the eyes. Get a nice shade and then just start shading around them. See what you can develop. Place in all the light sources. Of course, choose your light source. Purple skin is very hard to work with. Make sure you always mix it with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of orange. So let's see, the light is coming from here. Okay. We're going to have shadows cast this way. And just keep rendering the image until it starts to take that realistic turn, and then go back to the videos, see how we draw noses, how we draw lips, and then there you go. You have the methodology right in front of you. You have the way, the how-to right there. There's not much thought required. But really all that it depends on is your application level. Do you have the patience to go through painting a whole face? When you're done, you're going to feel this amazing satisfaction with yourself, and it's going to feel great. And don't take any shortcuts. The reason why some of you are using lines is because you're too afraid and you don't want to take the shortcut. So start taking, you want to take the shortcuts. Stop taking shortcuts and get into that difficult rendering world of professional painting. And you can do it. It's not hard. I've shown you everything that I know in the videos, and I'm going to be coming out with another thing. So there really is no excuse to not try it. An hour of work can make the biggest difference. An hour extra of work added to your to your drawing. It really pushes your threshold, your patience threshold. And you can really start playing along. I'm not going to render the whole thing. I don't have time for that. That's basically what I mean. If you want to get rid of the lines and get rid of that flat look, you have to keep rendering with respect to the videos that I've showed you guys, okay? And now we have Evans. Okay. Now we have Mattia's. Mattia, what we have here is tiny issues. I just want to show you some things that I don't know if you've noticed them. You probably have. But the size of the face, I'll show you now. Okay, the size of the face. Basically, I have a circle. This whole circle covers the face. It's smaller than the stomach. I know it's a work in progress, Mattia. I know. I'm not going to bash your work. You always say it's a work in progress. Don't do this, don't do that. But this is because you gave it in here, and I'm going to give you all my feedback for it. Okay? So I'm just showing you right now there are proportion issues. That's all I'm saying. The size of the belly button here, the size of the belly button is about the size of the length from the eyes to the nose. These are measurement system issues. There's a problem with your measuring tool in your computer, and what you need to do is fix that so that when you look at your work, you can realize that I need to measure these things out. These things don't just look good on their own. I have to make sure that there are degrees of realism respected throughout. Okay? And measuring it along and providing that little bit of effort will take your drawing a long way. I don't know how I will do this, but I will try. How do I set it? You can drag file into Skype, or you can send it here as a link. Okay, so what you need to do basically is enlarge the face or shrink the body, your choice, but the easier way is to enlarge the face. Having a bit of trouble with it, but compare it to before, Mattia. Just take a look at that. Before, after, and this isn't even big enough yet. The whole head, the face. I actually just keep it as the face for now. Before, after. This is all an issue because you didn't measure. There was no measuring involved. You didn't count out the body forms. Okay? Good gesture though. It's a really nice pose. I recommend taking down these shoulder pads because they're breaking the proportion. They can be a bit pointed, but delicately, with taste, not overdoing it. Because if you overdo it, it just becomes very obvious, you know. But when you give that little hint of just a raised shoulder design on the shirt, it really takes it to that next level. You're also looking at the breasts sideways from a 3/4 angle. You're not looking at them straight on. You painted it as if we're looking at them straight on. Okay, everything else seems okay. The arm seems a bit stiff. So what I'm going to do is just Have the arm slacking beside. The arm doesn't seem like it's very tensed. I'm just gonna have it just there. Because that's sort of what this pose is. It's all about the legs, and the upper body is just slacking off. So you have to give the legs sort of credit, I guess. Okay? I would enlarge the face just a touch more. Try to get all these measurements in. Try not to make the faces that you draw look generic. Try to give them a bit of, like, you know, the Mattia touch. Something new, something that people haven't seen. I can't seem to get in there. So I'll just show you the before and after. Look at the breasts and the shoulder line. Look at how large they are. They're overly done. The breasts seem like they're facing us, while the rest of the body is three-quarter view. The rest of the upper body. The breasts don't have their own, you know, will. They follow the upper. They're stuck on the upper body. Therefore, they follow the upper body. That's after. So this is the body if you measure it right. We've got 8 heads up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Before it was a little bit off. And that's it for that. So, okay, Zeta, this looks really good. I like the fact that you're actually drawing an illustration now. You're not just outlines, or you're not limiting yourself to outlines. There's an actual illustration in front of me, an actual portrait. Lately, you haven't been doing that, so you have, and that's it. What you need to do first is make sure simple stuff. Make sure the canvas is locked tight around your form, because what artists do is they have a viewfinder. You know what a viewfinder is? Like a painter's viewfinder. It's a simple frame they make out of paper, and they hold it around to the gesture in front of them. I mean, to the figure in front of them, to the basically this thing, to the landscape in front of them. And what it does is it frames the landscape, so they see that they have the right amount of framing, the right amount of space for all the elements that they're intending to draw. So when you do this on Photoshop, you have the luxury, the unbelievable luxury of changing the size of your canvas anytime you want. And that's the awesomeness that is Photoshop. So what you need to start doing is thinking about this beforehand. Not just depend on Photoshop to do this for you, but you need to really consider what you're going to draw and how much space you're going to need in order to draw it. So this guy looks like he's some sort of deathly king of death. And so what we're going to start applying is some light. I'm going to sort of create some sort of form to his face. And that's what you need to start doing, Zeta. You need to start forming the face, understanding. So the first thing, what did you learn just now? Frame your canvas properly. Create the viewfinder, the little crosshair. Then what's next up is forming the face, using shapes to create the face, to create the anatomy. Keep details till later. Don't start the details too early. It's only going to ruin your drawing, because it's going to make some parts of it look finished and some parts of it look not finished, and then it's just going to look very, very amateur. So in order to avoid that, you keep the details to the end. Make sure you have all of the big stuff painted with the big brush. That's why I say big brush first and then little brush. And this is sort of how you can start bringing him to life. Really just form out the areas of his face that are heightened versus the valleys, basically. Mountains and valleys. Okay. Sauron. Yeah, it does look like Sauron. Welcome, Dark Taste. By the way, I haven't welcomed everyone. Welcome, Dark, Dayton, Dorothy, Dior, Frost Knight, Harbinger, I Am Able, Ilsat, Mattia, M. Grand, Rallo, Yig, YGG, Zeta, and X. Thanks, guys, for coming. Also, you have to think about the kind of lighting. So maybe there's only lighting around his, around his face. Maybe there's a fire nearby. The light maybe only above his head. Maybe he's gone all Hellboy and has like a fire between his skull, which is pretty cool. You can add that. It's not like Hellboy did a patent on that or anything. There's a lot of ways that you can take this image, and it's really fun. But make sure you have all the details in place. Make sure everything is set up right. Set it up, and then if you set it up early, you won't have any of those mistakes. And that's the main lesson from today's critique class, is don't underestimate the power of the Allspark. The power of measuring your image. It's very important. The numbers show in the end. If you don't have them, it shows. And do you see how when we added that light source, all of a sudden things made sense? Do you see how when I added that fade here, all of these shadows that are falling down made a little bit of sense? It's because the light is proving that this entire face is beneath it, and that it's casting these kinds of shadows. As for the design itself, maybe you should rethink the design. Maybe he's sort of, try to have that little thumbnail that some artists have, where you have like, maybe he's in a hood and his body's like that and he's holding his staff. I don't know, something that that's typical card artists are asked for, that kind of stuff.